Welcome to the Life with a Difference podcast, a platform to amplify the voices of those living with a visible difference, and also to provide relevant information from industry leaders and experts. So this beautiful woman on your screen is actually my wife. I know, I can't believe it either. I had a late cancellation and Donna has kindly stepped in. I've wanted to do this for a while, to be fair. Yeah, you've come to the rescue. I've wanted to do this for a while. I think it's a good take to be from being the partner / sort of carer, I guess. So thank you for stepping in.
You're very welcome.
Just for anyone else, this is super weird, by the way, because Donna's downstairs in the kitchen and I'm upstairs in the office. We were thinking about doing it like in person, but I don't even know I can be bothered to change the systems, to be honest with you. So Donna's near the plants. Chair. We haven't got a chair. So Donna's on the bonquette. It's fine. Downstairs. So just to put a quick one out there, for anyone, I've said it before, but anyone who considers doing this with me, there's absolutely no pressure if you change your mind. So I think I said it before, but like if you're 5 minutes beforehand and you don't want to do it, that's absolutely fine. It's very emotive, very personal. So no pressure whatsoever. But it does take me about an hour to set all the kit up. So that's why I've roped Donna in. So, Donna.
Yes. Hello.
Would you mind introducing yourself, please?
Of course. So I am Donna. I am Andrew's wife. We have been together for how long? 15 years? Maybe?
Something like that.
Something like that.
Long old time.
Married for 6. I am a glass artist. Yeah, I think that's all the interesting things about me.
That is definitely not true. There's a lot more interesting things about you. Donna's not just a glass artist. She is a global superstar glass artist. Just came back from her show in New York. She is my greatest achievement. She is the thing I want to put at the top of my CV. She is my favourite thing in the whole world. So let's jump straight into it, because I know this is still a bit weird. So we're going to try and
ease into it.
Relax it up a little bit, make it a bit more loosey-goosey. I can hear you in this ear, and I can also hear you from downstairs in this ear.
I can't hear you, but you are like completely blurry on my screen.
Yeah, it does.
But
that.
I don't
Something
think
to
that
do with Riverside, the recording thing. It's weird.
Okay, fine.
I'm going down that technical route at some point, but it's such a faff. And everyone says Riverside is the best, but don't know. So, first proper question.
Yes.
Can you remember when you first noticed my condition, and did you have any thoughts about it at that point?
I think this is something we've kind of discussed privately a few times. I think, so obviously we met at school, for anyone that doesn't know that part. So we went to secondary school together. So we met when we were, age 11, when you go to secondary school in the UK. But I don't think we were in each other's orbits until we were maybe like 15, 16, I don't think. I don't remember you from like year 7, year 8. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember. I think I'd remember seeing you like in year 9, maybe.
Yeah. Year 9, because we had history together in year 9, and you still my hula hoops.
Yeah. Typical
that was flirting.
Boy strategy of trying to get your attention, yeah.
It worked, clearly. And I remember thinking that your skin was different, but it was never an issue. It was just, that's Andrew, and his skin is sometimes redder. I don't remember it being something that I even paused about. It was just...
Did you think it was a condition, or did you just think that my skin just went a bit redder? Did you put it kind of 2 and 2 together, that was part of an actual condition? Okay.
No, I don't think I did at that age. I think it would be almost like me thinking, oh, he must be a bit Italian, he's got that kind of tanned tone. Or do you know what I mean? That was as much attention I gave it, or consideration that I gave it, which, I guess I massively undermined what you were going through at that point to think of it like that. That was quite ignorant of me to kind of not consider what you were actually going through.
But that's what I would have wanted you to have thought. And that was kind of my intention, not just with you, but with everyone.
Yeah.
Which is why I really struggle with like there's two arguments, isn't there? There's two sides of the spectrum. There's crack
Mm.
on, downplay,
Mm.
don't make a big deal out of it, just go for it. And that often yields quite good results. And then there's the
Yeah.
other side where you, I guess, feel sorry for yourself and you really let those thoughts in. And then you start to, when you're being kind to yourself, I guess, but then you start to wallow in it. And I guess there's a balance in between. But I think at that stage of my life, I was very much on the other extreme of don't even let it become a thing for a second. So if you say that that's what you thought, it was kind of mission accomplished, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. And looking back, I'm conscious that you wore long sleeves a lot, but I don't think I twigged that at the time. I don't think I was like, oh,
Mm.
that boy always wears long sleeves. But if I look back and think back to our memories of, days out, trips out, nights out, I would remember you in long sleeves.
Is there a time that you remember when you kind of realised that it was more than just that and there was something a bit more significant? Can you remember a specific
Yeah.
time?
I remember being in your room, sat on that little sofa. Maybe it wasn't sat on the sofa because we bought that sofa late on, didn't we? Or
Mm.
later
Our
on.
little bed sit when we were
Mhm.
still living at home.
It was
My
cozy.
£50 sofa from Gumtree
Yeah,
that we
that
kept
did us
for
well. About 8 years.
6 years. Went into
Yeah,
our
yeah.
first house. Yeah.
Yep.
Still had the scuff from trying to get it in the house when I
Yep.
grazed it along the wall.
On the brick. So yeah, it couldn't have been them, but I would remember sitting with you in your room and you talking to me about it and
Oh,
just kind of
really?
being
I
like,
don't remember
"Oh,
that.
okay. Yeah." I don't know whether maybe your
How?
mum had said something
Mhm.
to you about like, "Oh, have you put your cream on?" Or I went and picked up your prescription," or like some kind of just normal every day-to-day thing
Mhm.
that I think then you kind of felt that you couldn't hide it anymore, and we had a chat about it. I remember just being like, "Oh, okay. You need to put some cream on your skin."
How deep did I get into it? Do you remember?
I don't think you talked about, like, the emotional side of it. I don't think you particularly went through the pain side of it either. I think it was just like, sometimes I struggle with my skin. I have to put this stuff on. I've had it since baby. It can make me itchy. It can make me dry. Um, and I think that was kind of it. Because at that point, you weren't taking too much medication, I don't think. I think you were on cyclosporin and things like that, but you certainly weren't on the injections or anything, were you then?
Uh, yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe.
No.
Yeah, it
Injections
was probably
started
just tablet
in
immunosuppressants at
our
that
last
point.
house, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and I did, yeah. That's when I went back to Guy's that
Yeah,
second. No, it was when I went to Guy's the first time. That was the first thing they did.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I remember because even when it was so obvious, like to me, it was so obvious anyway, I would try and hide it. It was just like that weird elephant in the room, I suppose. And I
Mm,
didn't feel brave enough to properly talk to you about it. And I remember at one point we were at Centre Parks. My skin was really, really sore. I was feeling really conscious of it. And I think I said to you something like, "Oh, my skin looks so sore," and you just grabbed my face, pulled me to you, gave me a kiss, and just said, "You look absolutely gorgeous," and then just kind of walked away. And it was just such like a, it wasn't even a big deal to you. It was just
no, it never
like a
has. It never
dismissive,
has been.
flippant thing, but in a good
Yeah.
way. It was
Yeah.
just like, oh, okay, she doesn't actually really give a shit, I suppose. Um,
Your mum said
and I
that's
guess
when
that
she realised she loved me as well.
I realised I loved you when we were in Rome and we walked past that 2-hour queue and you'd booked ahead for tickets for
The
um
Vatican.
the Vatican, yeah. The
Pre-booking,
Sistine
baby.
Chapel, that was it, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. But no, it was a long time before that, if I'm being honest. But
definitely.
but yeah, that was a bit of I remember that was a bit of a moment. Yeah, that was. I don't think at that stage whether it had got that bad at that
Mhm.
point or whether I was just in that very much that stage of downplay, downplay, downplay. But I don't think the mental health effects were particularly shown at that point. Would you agree? Do you think that kind of came a little bit
Yeah.
later when things got kind of worse?
I think I was less exposed to it because we weren't living together at that point. If that was our first trip to Centre Parks, we weren't living together, so you could mask stuff from me a lot more. So perhaps things were worse mental health wise, but I wasn't as aware of it. But I think your toughest times have been after that. I do think, like, yes, it must have been really rough through school. What are you looking for?
Sorry, I was just turning the fan on. It's well hot in here. I'm listening.
I think, yeah, like the physical symptoms of your skin, I think have been worse since school. I think you've had
Yeah.
worse
Yeah, I
flares.
think I would agree. Is there a time that jumps out to you as being kind of the hardest time? Do you think there is a hardest
Oh,
time that
yeah.
we've been through?
Yeah, it was just after, so it must have been what, 2 years ago, 2023, when you'd come off dupilumab, or maybe were you still on dupilumab, but then you had that mad flare? No, it's before
So you think,
dupilumab, and that's why you got put on it.
yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
before dupilumab, so that was what, like October, November of 2021, and it was just like, I'm not even sure of the timescale because I feel like time just slowed down because it was so rough. I don't know if it was 6 weeks or a couple of months. It certainly felt like that long, and your skin was just falling off a cliff, getting worse and worse and worse. And then you got the eye ulcers, and it got to a point where you had to wear sunglasses because, like, the brightness was too much. We had all the curtains closed, and yeah, it felt like time stood still and the world just shrunk to this tiny little bubble, and you were just in a world of pain.
Mm. What do you think people don't potentially realise about being the partner of someone who has a chronic condition?
It's so hard because, like, obviously you're the one going through the worst of it and all of it, really. But it's no one tells you how to manage it, and
Mm.
how to help because you can't do anything like tangible to take away the pain. It's not like I can give you some magic tablet that's going to give you some relief for a couple of hours, or give you, like, if I don't know, I can't even like give you a massage or anything. It's not going to help relieve any of the actual pain that you're experiencing. So then it's this real tricky balance of, like, do you try and just buoy up like the emotion of the house and carry on as if everything's normal to try and keep things happy and light, when in reality it's just far from it? Or do you, like, keep it kind of respectfully subdued, but then does things just spiral into the dark? And at what point do you say, right, okay, we're pulling out of this. This is enough now. Regardless of what the physical symptoms are, we need to get ourselves out of this. Like, I never know whether to force you to go out and do things and see people,
Mm.
whether that's going to make it better or worse. Like, you don't want to, yeah, no one tells you what to do. No one gives you a roadmap of how this should be. And it's not even a case of after the fact I can ask you, because you don't know until you're in it. If we all knew
Mm.
how to help, then it wouldn't be so hard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that it's a tricky one in that sense because I'm also just, the same. I'd like to think you'd say the same in that I like to crack on and I like to keep
Mm.
going. I like to keep my head up. I like to not let it overwhelm me. But I think there's definitely times, speaking specifically to AD, that is so bad that it's just almost not even possible. I think
Yeah.
I'm not talking about your average flares. I'm not talking about whatever. I'm talking about like the very few times where it's just been completely overwhelming. Those times, I don't know how anyone could just go about their life like that. It's just the symptoms are just too extreme. It just completely overwhelms you. But yeah, there's definitely times when there's some benefit of getting out the house for sure. Do you feel pressure to be the strong one in that
Yeah, for
situation?
sure.
Yeah.
Because like you say, you're overwhelmed. You've got you're already at your limit. So I need to take as much from you, whether that's kind of practical stuff of cooking and cleaning and keeping the world turning, making sure that, the washing's done so you've got everything you need to try and help with the flare. We have all these little routines, don't we, that we do when your skin's bad. So I feel like I have to kind of not triple guess, but like overthink everything to be like, okay, so this dinner's not a good idea. We should deep clean this
Mm,
and, hot wash that and try and do everything we can that may give us an edge to get the flare to kind of break, I guess. But then also,
mhm.
like, if I'm going through something at the same time, if I don't feel well or I'm in pain or I've got something on my mind or I'm stressed about something, I can't bring that to you when you're in the depths of it. Like, that would be so selfish of me to bring that to you then. So then, yeah, you do have to kind of be the strong one because you need it. But
See,
then
I don't
it's
see
hard
that as
to,
selfish. I don't see that as selfish at all. I think when there's, as I say, those, like, say over my lifetime, 3 to 4 months where, like, things are, like, to the wall, I can understand it then. But other than that, I don't think that's definitely a selfish thing to bring that stuff to me. I'd like to think that, this is an awkward question, and please be
Mm.
honest. I'd like to think that I'd try and work really hard to minimize the impact on you and on us. Would you
Yeah,
agree with that? Do you think I do a
yeah,
good
I
job
do
of
think you
that?
do. I do think you do, but I think sometimes it's out of your control. I think sometimes it's
Mm,
just too much. And I can
mm,
see you when a flare is starting to roll in, I can see not only the flare getting worse physically and like visibly, but I can see you kind of not losing control. Control's not the right word. Losing
withdrawing.
tolerance. Yeah,
Mm,
withdrawing for sure, but like
mm,
losing your ability. It's like you're drowning in it. Like you
mm,
are just losing the ability to keep your head above water with it. And that is tricky to see because you know what's coming. You know like it's
mhm,
like anticipating how rough it's going to be. And sometimes
mhm,
it's almost a relief when you have that really crappy day because you're like, it's got to break now. It's got to. Like we're at the peak. It can't get any worse than this. So tomorrow should be a better day. Whereas when it's just kind of snowballing downwards, it can be a
mm,
bit scary to know how bad
mhm.
it's going to get.
I always One of the tricky things with this advocacy stuff is that I don't want
Mm.
to just be like, sort of, woe is me and pity me and but
Mm.
unfortunately, a big part of it is that people feel quite dismissed for it, whether it's skin
Yeah.
conditions generally or visible differences and stuff like that. And so, to kind of get that message out there, I have to kind of share the lived
Yeah.
experience of it and say the realities of what it's like. And I did a reel the other day that showed the massive flip flop in my conditions every other day. Could you? Would you mind trying to explain, from what you've seen, what it's like? So to people that would dismiss skin conditions and AD and stuff as like a little bit of a rash on your arm,
Mm.
from your perspective, so that it's not just me playing the victim, could you try and explain it to people?
You never play the victim, first and foremost. You're a very brave soldier. Um,
Thank you.
it's it's the unpredictability of it. You will wake up not knowing if you're going to have a semi-normal day or one of the worst days of your life. You know, one of these days that will go on record as one of the days that we will refer to like this. It can doesn't always just creep up on you. Sometimes it will just slap you in the face and you've woken up with something, or you could be out with friends at a restaurant and all of a sudden it just overtakes you. And it's the heat, like the physical heat. I can feel it coming off you and feel it in different parts of your body. I can touch here and it can be boiling. I can touch your arm and it wouldn't be. It's the aggression of it. It's so like violent and looks so painful and so sore just to the touch, let alone what it's doing to you internally. I've seen it cover literally 90% of your body. break the skin, get infected. You've had times where you've gone weeks just feverish and shivering, and because you've got infected from the broken skin, from how sore it is. It's just all consuming. Like, it's a pain that takes over all of your insides and all of your outsides, every sensation, like touching it. But then also mentally, your head's just in a storm because you can't think of anything other than the pain. And you're helpless to solve it.
That's a pretty good, yeah, pretty good synopsis. Yeah, I feel like you're one of the people that obviously understands it the most. For someone that doesn't have it, you probably understand it quite, deeply compared to kind of the average person. I remember the kind of shame, I
Mm.
think, of the times where you have had to help me. And it's weird because, you've never ever made me feel conscious or embarrassed. You've only ever done the complete opposite, and you've always completely been there for me. And there's been times where you've kind of kept me alive, to be honest with you, between you and mum and the support network. When those particular times where, like, if I had to stay in the absolute depths of it, if that was my life, I simply wouldn't want to be alive in that.
Yeah.
I don't know anyone that would. I don't know how
Yeah.
anyone could just be like, okay, this is life, when you feel like you're being eaten alive across the whole surface area of your body. But I remember, like, for example, in your early 20s, we tried for a while wet wraps, like you have when you're a
Yes, that
kid.
was
So
always fun.
bandages, like saturated with moisturizer. And, I've got my early 20s gorgeous girlfriend wrapping me up like a mummy. I just remember feeling really just ashamed and embarrassed and just like, you shouldn't be having to do this. And yeah, did you not at that point kind of think like, what am I doing here? Like, I could be off with someone just completely carefree, not worrying about his allergies, not worrying about him waking up tomorrow and being covered head to toe in rashes. Did you not have that thought?
No, why should you have to do it? It's as much a question to you as to me, really. Like, you shouldn't have to be there having to have that done to you. It's just, you've been dealt a crappy hand. But no, it was never a question. Ever.
Mm.
I'm not with
Do
you
you
for
feel
the
so? Did you?
quality of your skin. I'm with you because of who you are.
That's very kind. This is all a bit gushy and a bit nice, isn't it? I hope this is not too cringy to people, but we're trying to be genuine. We're trying to have a proper
Getting the
conversation here.
ick. Getting the ick.
Yeah, yeah. It's not all very un-British, isn't it?
Yeah.
Um, do you feel supported in that role as kind of as the person who supports me with this? Do you feel
Mm.
supported? And you have some health issues that you have as
Mm.
well, so I guess there's a little bit there, and that
Mm.
I hope that you feel that support back. It's, with very much typical NHS route of trying to figure things out. And if there's anything outside of just antibiotics, it just seems to require a full-blown multi-year investigation when trying to get the help is so difficult. But in terms of your role supporting me, do you feel supported?
I'm supported by your mum a lot. And I think I think if we both didn't have her, we'd be completely lost. Um, and I've realized recently how valuable my friendship network is and how I need to take time for me as well, especially when it's really rough. I think that if I think when it gets really bad, you often want to be on your own, which I completely understand. Um, I think we're all a bit like that. If we're suffering, sometimes we do just need a bit of space. And that's the time that it's good for me to get out and catch a breath with someone else
Mm,
and kind of
mm,
be in the world. Um, and I hope that that if you ever need me to stay, you just say, and I will obviously stay.
mm,
It's not like I'm going away for like a weekend. I'm like going out for a walk with a friend or something. And I think
mm,
making sure I feel supported if I make sure I do the things I know I need to do to feel supported. Does that make sense?
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
so easy to just like call yourself like retreat from the world, but then it's quite a lonely, dark, small place. But I don't feel
Yeah.
any support from the NHS as a carer or a partner or anything else. Absolutely none. Like I know they're busy and their priorities, rightly so, are on you guys. But I think even the concept of just like offering a leaflet or something about therapists would be helpful.
Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? Because we've gone to like the most specialist clinics
Mm.
in the UK, and so they're obviously dealing with some really severe cases that, as
Yeah.
they should know, can affect the wider family and support network too. And yeah, I'm surprised I've never seen so much as a leaflet about that, or you've even
No.
ever had a conversation because you regularly come with me, and yeah, that's true. Yeah,
And it's
your support.
oftentimes,
Sorry, go on.
sorry, like I understand that they may not have the resources to refer me to a therapist or something, but even just the thing that says, if you're struggling, talk to your GP about therapy, like even
Mm,
just that, opening that line of thought. And there's times when we are in London at appointments where you're in with a certain doctor having bloods or whatever done, that I am still in a room with a doctor or I'm in a waiting room and they're aware of who I am. You know, we've been in so many times, they know who I am. And no one's even said, how you doing? You know, even just like off the record, like they're not having to give me any more time, any more appointment time, but just how you getting on? Is everything okay? Just a human to human interaction
yeah,
that
yeah.
considers the weight of it. You know, they're always very polite to me and very friendly to me, but they're making small talk rather than acknowledging
Mm,
that I'm not just a bystander to this.
mm. Unfortunately, they say that they're so stretched that they can barely look after the
Mm.
patient. So I bet it's so
Yeah,
far off that they have the scope or the
yeah,
ability to look after um, partners and sort of
mm,
carers too.
yeah,
Yeah,
sadly.
that's an interesting. Yeah, it's kind of made me think when you said about that I've never seen anything about anyone else because I think about mum and how hard that must have
Mm.
been and
Especially when
how
you're bringing up a
lonely that must have
child.
felt.
And I feel
Yeah.
like now me and your mum are kind of experts in this to a certain extent. Like we feel fairly confident in how this world works. But if you're new to it and you've got a young child that can't articulate things so well, then I think that's really hard because the weight of the advocacy is completely on you. Um, and even like volunteer support groups, like you have them for so many other conditions, and there's never any mention of like, granted, someone could just come back at me and say, "Well, why haven't you started one up?" Granted, I get that.
Mm. And they are
Um,
out there. I guess
yeah,
maybe you just have to dig for them a little bit.
yeah, but yeah, maybe just
Yeah.
like a flyer, just to at least suggest the idea that you're not alone, and then it's up to you to then go do the research to get the help you need. But
Mm.
it's just not even in the conversation.
Yeah, why is it that charities are not more involved at the NHS level? I wonder if
Mm,
there's some sort of regulation thing. Like when we turn
mm,
up to Guy's Hospital and we're in that big lobby in the waiting
mm,
room and you're in a room full of people with severe skin conditions,
yeah,
why is there not like a little stand from
exactly.
a charity and there's just someone there and you can go talk to? Yeah,
Mm.
maybe
And they
there's
don't
a
have to be there all the
regulation.
time.
Mm,
Even just contact details or flyers, but you never even see their charity's flyers to like say, get in touch. We're here if you want to chat.
mm. Maybe there's something to stop that. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I'm so grateful for your friendship circle now, especially.
Mm,
I'd like to think that the times when I'm really in the depths of it and I kind of do just want to kind of be on my own are quite
mm.
rare. I think like
Yeah,
a
they
couple of
are.
days, maybe every sort of 3-4 months, something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, in those times, I feel like you're someone who likes to be in those kind of fussed over a little bit in those times, whereas I'm kind of
Mm.
someone that likes to be left alone a little bit, do you
Yeah.
think?
Yeah.
Um, and so I think it gives you a break, and I think it kind of lets me have my time on my own where I can just sit in it for a bit.
It
So yeah,
allows
basically
me
just
to like top up my like social battery a little bit because it is draining. I'm not saying you're draining, but like the experience is emotionally draining.
mm,
Um, and it's hard to know how to manage the atmosphere.
mhm,
So I think by going out, it's almost like get a fresh start because you come back in
mhm,
and you can be light and airy and you'll either respond to that or you won't. You might have worked through
mhm,
some stuff and be ready to be like that. And then we've got a fresh start
mhm,
and it's less like awkward. Or you might not be and it's like, okay, well, this is where we are and we
mhm.
take it from there. So I think it kind of works well for both of us because I think if you're struggling and you're feeling certain emotions, it's really hard to then change those emotions kind of while someone else is around. Unless
Yeah,
something changes, if you go somewhere or do something, like the situation has to change for your emotions to change.
mm,
So it kind of gives you the space and the time to get to that point
mm,
without an audience.
yeah, yeah, definitely.
And then you don't have to
Yeah,
worry about me as well, because I think you carry a lot of guilt that, it could be the most beautiful summer day, Saturday, weather's beautiful, we had plans, we've cancelled the plans because you're not well enough, and that we're both just sat inside. So I think if you feel that I'm still out and doing stuff, then you kind of don't have to worry about me.
yeah, definitely,
So
100%.
it takes that off your plate and you feel less guilty
Mm,
for like having to cancel plans because I'm still having a nice day. Not that that's ever a problem on my side. Like
mm.
I'm
You
happy
love
to
a
sit and read
cancelled
my
plan.
book. Give me a book and a glass of wine and I'm
Yeah.
absolutely fine. But
I'm your greatest excuse.
yeah, you
It's the
are.
best
It's
thing.
wonderful. But at least you don't have to think, oh God, she's there itching to go out.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. Do you think it's had an overall negative impact on our relationship? There's something to going through hard things
Mm.
together that kind of pulls you closer together. And it was the same with, our businesses and stuff like that, that were flipping soul searchingly hard. But I
Yeah.
do think they kind of pull you together a bit. Do you think it's overall had a negative impact? I'd be very surprised if you said no. I think that you can't kind of deny that it would just be better without it and from a relationship standpoint.
Things would be easier for sure.
Mm,
I think you have to carry a lot more weight and difficulty in your life than a lot of people do. Um, and that obviously comes with its challenges. It comes with, yes, it's great that it strengthened our relationship in many ways. Like you say, I think it kind of bonds you together a bit. And, if you can, it makes the smaller stuff seem so small and just not an issue. Why would we worry about who has or hasn't emptied the dishwasher and get an argument over that when there's bigger fish to fry? So
mhm,
in a way, it puts everything into perspective and it makes us a lot more grateful for the good days, when everything
mm,
aligns, you're well, I'm well, the sun's shining, we're out doing something we love. I think we're so appreciative of that. And we're appreciative of the
mm,
small things. Like genuinely, if there's a day when your health is great and the sun's shining, that is the best day for us. We love that. It
yeah,
doesn't really matter
yeah.
what we do. That's all
Mm.
we really need.
And
So
not
I
to
think,
downplay it, like it's same with, sorry to interrupt. Same as
mm,
same as with your health as well.
yeah,
That's the thing, is it takes my health, your health, and the sun to be shining. But then, as you say, when we get those days, I,
yeah,
I
it's
do think we
glorious.
take full advantage of the times that we
Yeah,
are good in terms of our health, and that
yeah,
we do some cool stuff.
yeah. We make sure to live our life because we know how like flimsy life is.
mm,
You may be
mm,
alive, but it doesn't mean you're always living, if that makes sense.
hmm
There's so much of your life that you've lost already through crap days because
mm,
your condition has taken over your ability to experience life. And it feels like, you really get to kind of live, what, 2/3 of each year, and the rest is taken with hospital appointments or bad days or just the flipping protocols and routines and everything else of having AD. And
Mm.
think how much time you stand and put cream on and do injections and do all of the routine. That's going to mount
Yeah.
up to years of your life that other people don't even
Yeah.
have to think about.
Mm.
So I think
Yeah, and that's with being like ruthlessly efficient as well, and like
yeah,
having a systemizing
yeah,
everything to a T and doing it as quickly as possible. But yeah,
yeah.
it's quite overwhelming, especially with hospital appointments every time
Hmm.
that's into London, and that's money and time. And I
Yep.
remember when we were doing the electrical firm, and you were
Yeah.
sort of my ops manager, and I'd have like 2 days I need to take off and go into London. Like, how are we
Yeah. No.
possibly doing that? Like, it just doesn't lend itself to it. It really, going out into the world and being successful is flipping hard. It's hard enough as it is without having that dead weight of
Yeah.
like appointments
Yeah.
and paying out for stuff all the time, just as you say, that how time intensive it is. It just makes it so difficult. It's like you're swimming upstream all the time.
Yeah. And how spontaneous isn't the right word, but like we don't know when this stuff is coming. We can't schedule in time for you to be so unwell. So
Yeah.
we could have spent big money on something or organized something. Like the amount of things that we've had and you've been well that feel like a miracle, like our wedding day.
Mm.
How
Yeah.
how was it that we've had such wonderful holidays or days out or our wedding day, things like that, and you've been okay? I can
Mm.
just feel like we are due you to be unwell when we've scheduled to be somewhere amazing.
Yeah, we
I'm not
have got
bringing that
really
on.
lucky.
I'm not
Yeah,
manifesting
I've got
that.
really lucky. Yeah. Yeah, our wedding was a big one. Yeah, I remember texting you on
Mm,
the day and being like, "My
yeah,
skin's okay." And it's just literally a lottery. It's
yeah.
literally there's
That's
no
the thing at the
like I do
lottery.
everything I'm supposed to. Everything,
Yeah.
everything. I think Donna will back me up there, and that I would
Mhm.
do anything. I had to have
Yeah.
one thing I hate more in this world. No, the thing I hate most in this world is blood tests. Absolutely despise them. When I was a kid,
And the wind.
I think like I don't like windy
He
weather.
doesn't
Wind is
like
the
the
worst
wind.
weather. Yeah, it's just annoying. You can deal with a bit of drizzle, but the wind just ruins everything, and it ruins a nice day as well. But anyway, um, but I hate blood tests. When I was like
Mm,
a kid, I had to have one, and they took like ages to get a vein. I think that just kind of mentally scarred me. I don't know how many blood tests I've had to have.
no.
Just what do we? I don't know.
Easily
Well
100.
over easily 100. It was
Easily.
every week at some point. It's every
Yeah.
month at other points. It's every 3 months at some point. Like loads,
Mm,
absolutely loads. And that's to have treatment. It doesn't actually even fix me. Just like it just sort of maybe possibly seems to help a little bit. I'd do
yeah.
anything. Um, but for whatever reason, we just don't get that level of consistency, and it's so hard to deal with, and it requires so much planning to try
Mhm.
and be okay for certain things. So like if I
Yeah.
have something coming up, my mind is spinning about all the
Yeah.
ways I can optimize, and I have some things in my back pocket that I can use if needs be. So like if it's really, really bad, I can even go on to sort of steroids. I can go to the dermatologist and say, look, I need a
Mm,
course of prednisolone or whatever. Um, so like for example, your show in New York,
mm.
I knew I needed to be okay that day because that was a big day for Donna. Donna was in a big show in front of a amphitheatre, and it's like kind of an accumulation of a year's work. And I needed to be on point that day because I had to help manage
You're
things. I
my
was
support
taking
team.
content. I was the glamorous assistant, and like it was I just couldn't be unwell. And so
Yeah.
beforehand, I took a shot of a Kenalog at a local place. Um, there's some potential long-term effects there, but I could not risk being sick for that
No.
day. Um,
The
and so,
stress it adds to things that are
yeah,
supposed to be
already
positive
stressful
experiences. The
and already
stress
stressful.
and the yeah, But even stuff that is supposed to be lovely, like holidays, whatever, the stress and like
Mm,
it taints the run up to things, you know, because
mm,
there is this stress and this underlying nervousness, you know? I feel
mm,
like in the week running up to these things, if at some point your skin's a little bit red, I'm a bit like, uh-oh, oh
mm.
no, what's happening here? And I don't mention it. It's like the elephant in the room for the week running up to it.
Yeah,
Because yeah, it's tough.
yeah.
It's
I
tough.
think you're kind of painting a good picture of just how all-encompassing it is and like how it just
Mm,
kind of dominates life, unfortunately. And like, and the unfortunate reality, I think that's something that's kind of important for people to understand is that the bottom end is so horrendously bad
mm.
that there's just no get that you can't just get on with it. I don't
No,
think, and I really
no.
like to think I'm somebody that
Oh, you really
cracks on when
do.
I need to and
Mm,
marches and dies and does what I need to do. But there is a
mm,
point, there's a level of when my skin is at its worst. It doesn't happen too often, fortunately. It's like, especially now I'm on some heavy stuff and
mm.
whatever. But there is a point where life is just kind of not worth living, and
Yeah.
that is the constant fear, isn't it?
Mm.
Is that going to happen? And is that going to happen at
And is it not going to
a
go
very
away? Is there a time
inconvenient
when,
time?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I think that shows the severity of it because you're such a march or die kind of person. You will keep going no matter what. When you do just sit down or crawl into bed and go, no, I can't do this anymore, that really shows how rough it is because
Mm,
you don't do that easily. You don't give in easily.
mm.
So for
That's the thing.
something
That's
to
going
overpower
back to
you,
that. Yeah, going back to that thing earlier of like where on that scale you are
mm.
recently, and the greatest gift Donna ever gave me was so. Um, this is a long way of answering this. So
I don't know where you're going with this.
I I was an electrician for like 10 years. Built a little business. Donna was my ops manager.
Wasn't a
Of
little
part of that
business, it was
job,
a big business.
well, mm,
Mm.
okay, fine. Definitely wasn't a big business, but like it was okay.
You did very
Um,
well.
uh, Part of that job was knocking on knocking like on 10 different people's houses every day.
Mm.
So like kind of my worst nightmare when you feel embarrassed about the way you look is meeting
And you don't want
strangers
people looking
and
at
going
you.
into their homes. Yeah, all day, every day. It was just horrendous. On top of that, I'm working in dusty conditions. I'm coming home covered in loft insulation and brick dust. Um, Also hated the business as well, but that's a whole other thing.
And having
But
to have
Donna was
meetings
my
with important people to try and
yeah,
secure work and therefore income for the 6 people that worked in that company. So that's like, well, we were in the same family, but like that was 5 households of
mm,
income and their family's money that relied on you to do a good job to secure the workflow. And you've got to
yeah,
do that when you feel uncomfortable, embarrassed, just
sleep
totally want to,
deprived.
yeah, and just want to hide.
Yeah, yeah. But so Donna was my ops manager, and running side by side with that, Donna had a glass art business that she would sort of do on the side, and all of a sudden that just kind of exploded, went absolutely crazy, year-long lead times, the full shebang, like mini celeb, and it got to the stage where like you said to me, I simply can't do this on my own. I need another pair of hands. So let's sell the electrical firm, and you come and look after the business back end side, and and you can do the creative, talented side. But what that meant is that not only did I get to not crawl through lofts anymore, but I got to work from home, and I just cannot tell you the gift of that. The gift of that to not only just work from home, but it's just the fact that I can be productive from home because I feel terrible when I'm not being productive.
Yeah.
I just feel like a waste of space or whatever. So to be able to be productive from home, um, when my skin is flaring is just the most wonderful thing. And I'm kind of grateful for it every single day. But just, yeah, a lot roundabout way of saying you were talking about sort of climbing into bed when I feel sad, when it's really particularly bad or I'm really struggling. I feel like very recently, because our lifestyle is a lot more agreeable since things have certainly calmed down a little bit. I kind of had the scope to be able to do that. So recently was kind of one of the first times, I think, where I was really, really suffering. And I just went to bed for a bit. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Like, it's good. It's good to be kind. I'm
Have the
I'm
option.
genuinely asking. So now that I have the scope to like take an hour or two if I'm feeling really terrible and have a little cheeky nap, is that a good thing or is that a bad thing? Am I leaning into um, the situation too much? I think it's not good for you.
I think it's like Abigail said, a mopey day is not a problem. I think sometimes you need it to like recalibrate and just give yourself a moment to kind of catch up with the situation, process the situation, then move on. I think if you don't do that, it's probably the same as like bottling up your emotions. It's only going to come back to haunt you and explode at
Mm,
some point. I think in a way it's healthy. Um, and I think you know when to pull yourself out of it.
mhm,
Um, and I think if you're struggling to pull yourself out of it, we know when you'd want to be pulled out of it. Um, so we can kind of support you in that way. I'm sure if you didn't have the support network around you, it could be really hard to go to that kind of mopey place and then pull yourself out with no exterior kind of input, or external input. It's a rough thing that you're dealing with, you know?
mm,
You've got to accept that, like, you can't be expected to just take that on the chin.
mm. Yeah. Okay. I feel like we all have insecurities and we all have things that um, yeah, we're insecure about and we're conscious of and we can be embarrassed of and we're worried about people making comments about it and stuff like that. I don't worry about people making comments about the things that you're insecure about. I don't really have that concern because I just don't think it really happens. Unfortunately, mine does happen. It's rarely malicious and it's rare that it happens, but it does happen and the threat of it happening is kind of enough. And also I think part of the reason it doesn't happen very much is because I I work hard to not put myself in those situations where I'm kind of vulnerable, if that makes sense, whether it's my new Altruist anti-redness sun cream or it's, you know, if I'm having a really bad day, I kind of hide away at home. Um, but when we're out and about, there is that fear. What's that like for you as the partner? Kind of, I guess maybe being worried about someone saying something.
I think it's harder almost when people aren't being malicious. I think it's the little comments. It's the, oh, you got some, did you catch the sun at the weekend? Or, you know, you seem red. It's the little things that aren't meant meanly that I find the hardest because I know that you are just absolutely writhing inside and it's really hit a nerve and you are then consumed by trying to figure out how to deal with it, even though the conversation has moved on. And it's that tricky one of like the person didn't mean anything by it, but it still meant something to you,
Mm,
understandably. And it's knowing how to deal with that. I'd almost rather someone came out and was obnoxiously rude about it
mm,
because I feel like I know how to deal with that and you know how to deal with that and everybody else knows how to react with that easier because it's just
mm,
so blatantly rude.
mm.
It's easier to kind of comprehend and to process and then just move on from.
Yeah, it's much more simple. The gloves are
Mm,
off and you kind of,
yeah.
yeah, you have authority to
Mm.
go for it.
I've definitely found social situations so much less nerve-wracking is probably the right word now that you have started this podcast and your Instagram because our closest circle always knew, but our just general circle never did. So
Mm,
if we were out with friends, you know, in London for the day or gone out for food or at the gym or whatever, it was always something you were downplaying and trying to hide. And sometimes things happen, like we know often you can flare when you have your first alcoholic drink, or, certain foods can trigger you, or certain, if it's too hot or too humid or whatever. And then that then becomes difficult when it's almost like the elephant in the room. Like, I can see you're
Yeah.
flaring, you can feel you're flaring, and we're sat around the table with people, and I'm like, should I bring it up? Should he bring it up? Are we just pretending this isn't happening? I'm waiting for someone to go, oh, you're blushing, or, you got a bit hot. I'm playing that over and over and over in my head, trying to think, right, okay, so what would I say if someone says it? But now that everyone that we kind of socialize with and interact with knows, because you've been so open and honest with this platform, it feels easier, because then if they do come out and say something, it's almost like that obnoxious person being super rude. It's like, I've been vulnerable and been
Mm.
transparent about my situation. So if you now choose that to take the piss out of me with, then we know what kind of person you are.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And it's almost the same thing in that, you say about it's easier if someone's just being outright obnoxious.
Mm.
It's almost easier when my skin is really bad, because when my skin is at
Mm.
its absolute worst, like, it's obvious there's something quite serious going on there. It's
Mm.
not just the case of I'm blushing or I've got sunburn or anything like that. It's not my my condition is not just being mistaken for sunburn, because it's so obvious that
Yeah.
it's quite serious. There's a simplicity to that as well. And I find the comments happen less in that scenario, because people are,
Yeah.
people are generally quite empathetic, and they're like, oh, I wouldn't, poor guy, I won't give him a hard
Yeah.
time. But yeah, when it's just lighter, people think it's just a bit of banter, which normally it is for someone who's
Mm.
red. It's just, oh, you caught the sun. But for me, it's kind of my deepest insecurity, which is quite difficult. But yeah, I totally agree. I feel completely liberated by stepping forward and owning who I am. And I would kind of just, I guess, a bit of advice to anyone in that situation, that there is absolutely a benefit to downplaying and cracking on. But I think one of the ways to sort of balance that spectrum a little bit is to try and be a bit more open to talking about it and be a bit braver in talking about it,
Mm.
particularly if you're really insecure. I think that it's always better just to kind of be
Rip the
upfront about it.
plaster off.
Yeah,
It
exactly. And,
helps
and
in
you
the
said,
long
like,
run.
yeah, yeah, and like you said, like when I'm out drinking and my skin is flushing, it's not as if I've just got like a bit of a drinker's flush, like in my, I'm getting like an allergic
You can
reaction.
see it happening as well.
Mm,
Like,
mm,
you can't ignore it. It's not like you've
yeah,
over half an hour you've gradually got redder. It's literally like it's like happening in front of your
yeah,
eyes, kind of thing. So now you can
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
make a joke out of it yourself and be like, oh, here we go, because
Mm,
people know what is going on. And I
mm,
don't know if, I mean, I'm going to say something now and feel free to cut it if you don't think it's appropriate. But it's kind of like, so you have two cousins, both called Sam, both with autism. One has more profound autism, and your brother Sam, his autism. Oh, why did I say two cousins? You have one cousin, Sam, and a brother, Sam.
I know what you meant.
Not everybody else will. Your cousin's autism is a lot more profound and a lot more blatant, I guess is the word. Whereas your
Mm,
brother's is more subtle. Um, and I feel more protective of your brother, because I feel like your cousin's is so clear that if anyone were to take the mick out of him, that just makes him an awful person. And I think he's less likely to get the mick taken out of him because it's so clear. Whereas with your brother, there's subtleties and nuances to it that I feel that he's almost more vulnerable
hmm
to having stuff said about him, because people see him as fair game almost.
yeah,
I think that's kind
yeah.
of a similar situation to when your skin is, super bad or not super bad.
Mm. Yeah, similar to how because I have a bit of an autism radar, I feel like we all
Mm.
do. If I see someone I can tell straight away is neurodivergent, and some people might talk badly of them because of their
Yeah, they're
sort of
different.
social skills,
Mm.
not understanding that is their condition. That's sort of like being annoyed with someone for who's in a wheelchair for not being able to walk up the stairs. That that
Yeah.
is that is their what they're dealing with, is that they struggle socially, and so that's, yeah. Yeah, I completely take your point. Is when it is more obvious, there is a simplicity to it in a way.
People can understand it. I think a
Yeah,
lot of the
it's
time
pros
that
and cons for
people,
sure, but
yeah, of
yeah,
course. I
yeah.
think a lot of the time that people are unkind or um, insensitive
Hmm.
is lack of knowledge and like discomfort. I don't think it's even necessarily that it's not like your condition is making them uncomfortable.
Hmm.
Also, you've got situations like Oliver where people are just horrendous to say things like that him being there makes them uncomfortable. But I think in general, someone's condition doesn't make them uncomfortable. They just feel uncomfortable in that they don't know how to interact. It's like almost people don't realize that you just react like you would with any other human.
Mm,
You know,
yeah,
that's all it is.
yeah. Which is what I've tried to hopefully do with the podcast a little bit, just to
Yeah.
be like, wow, shocker. Everyone,
Mm,
they're all just normal. We're all just normal people.
yeah.
Just that we look a bit different. Yeah, and
Yeah.
I like I don't want it to think that like I'm saying that I've got it worse. That's absolutely not what I'm saying.
Mm.
I'm just saying there's sort of pros and cons. Like there's a pro and con to my condition in that I have good days and bad days, and there's a good part of that in that I have good days and I'm able to. There's times where I'm able to experience life as a normal person, but then the con of that is I have this oscillating constant inconsistency and I'm unable to lean into like a new normal because it's just up and down all the time. When my physical symptoms are up and down so much, it's so difficult to then keep mental stability as well. Um, but yeah, anyway, sorry, I'm making this too much about me. It's supposed to be about you.
No, not
Anyway,
at all.
next question. What advice would you have for someone who's just started dating someone with a visible difference?
That's a good one. I think don't underplay the impact that it will have on you as well as the person dating them, like as the partner, carer, whatever you want to call them, and understand that it's okay to find that hard or need support and work out what support means for you, whether that is talking to a therapist, like I wish I did that years ago, whether that is having, a friends and family network that you can talk open and honestly with about things that kind of know, obviously with your partner's permission, I guess, that you can share the reality of it with and not have to sugarcoat the situation. So they kind of know where you are with treatment plans and things like that so that they can empathize and check in on you and relate to things. Um, or whether, the way that you care might just be taking some time out just to be on your own or taking time out to do the things that you enjoy, whether that's the gym or taking a bath or whatever you know, but you can't always put yourself last because it's like that whole thing they say when you're in an airplane. Like if you're traveling with children, you need to put your oxygen mask on first. Like if you're not looking after yourself, then you're not going to be able to look after the person that you're with. If you're running on empty, then that's not going to help when they're running on empty. So yeah, it's okay to put yourself first too, so that you can be the best version of yourself to help look after them. I think it's just trying to have open communication, understanding what they're going through, what they are looking for from you. Like you were saying earlier, when I'm really struggling, I want someone there to hold my hand and look after me and stroke my hair. Whereas when you're really struggling, you kind of just want to be on your own and have some space to process it. So it's understanding what your partner needs or wants, the little things that you can do, whether they're practical things. Um, I know that compression can help you, so I'll make sure that I grab your compression sleeves. And we know that we don't know, to be fair, we don't know anything because it's so up in the air. But we have certain things that mentally make us feel like we are in control, like, you know,
Mm,
getting putting new filters in the air purifier or like replacing certain soft furnishings or deep cleaning things or, all that kind of stuff. So taking control of some of those things might practically feel like you're helping the situation. And then just little things that are going to cheer them up a bit. If that's favorite foods or drinks or shows or books or whatever.
Mm.
It's just kind of having your little toolkit, I guess, but having that
Yeah.
conversation with them so you know what they need. Because some people will feel smothered if you're all over them, and some people will feel bereft if you've gone out and left
Do you
them.
know, do you know what I think it is? I think I kind of realised this recently, is that I just feel embarrassed. I still feel embarrassed in the way that I look.
I know
When
you
it's
do.
really, really
I know you
bad,
do.
on top of everything
Mm.
else, I think that,
Oh,
I just think I'm just suffering. Oh, you okay?
my headphone fell out, sorry.
Okay, that's okay. I think I'm just suffering and, just whatever. But I do think part of it is I just feel embarrassed about the way they look. I don't want to I don't want to, I don't feel like I can't even look you in the eye. You've never made me feel like that. And there's no reason for me to feel like that. But that's exactly how I feel. And I think that's part of me wanting to be on my own. And I'm 32, dealing with this for my whole life. And that's still the kind of mental impact that when I'm really flaring, I still struggle to look my wife in the eye, which is pretty crazy.
And the last time you were really struggling, I'd walk in a room and you'd walk out the room. I'd talk to you
And I
and
kind
you'd
of wouldn't
look at the
even
floor and
realise
then
that I was
walk
doing
away.
it. Yeah. When you
And it's
mentioned that,
so
I hadn't even
obvious.
realised I was doing it. Yeah.
And it's not just me thinking too much into it. You would literally turn as I walked into the room because you wanted to have your back to me so I wouldn't see you, and walk out the room, and we were having dinner and you were kind of eating like this because you don't want me to see your face. It's so transparent, the kind of shame and embarrassment that you're feeling. And I hate that emotionally you're having to process that on top of everything else. You've already got enough on your plate. You don't need to be feeling those emotions. And I guess it's a case of you working on that as to how you can, if you don't feel that there's a root cause of that from me or your mum or whoever you're surrounded by, it's working out where that's come from and if there's any way that you can work through that, because you don't want more things to be dealing with than you have to when you're struggling. There's certain things you can't avoid, but maybe that's something that you can come to terms with.
Is there anything you'd tell your younger self about, when you first met me, or I don't know, maybe when I proposed to you, something like that? Is there anything you'd tell your younger self?
Go to guys in St Thomas Hospital,
Yeah.
first and foremost. For both of us to go to therapy sooner. And for me to accept help and lean on people when I need it, and not try and do it myself and not shut myself off.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything that I could do better to make your life easier as someone supporting me, if that makes sense?
I don't think so. I don't think there is anything you can do. None of it's your fault, is it?
No. I hope you already know this, but I don't know if I would still be here without you. I think I've spoke to you about this before privately, but yeah, you are an angel and I love you very much. And I don't know what I did to deserve you, but I'm very, very lucky for everything you do. Whether it's you injecting me, I'm taking lebrikizumab at the moment, and this is not advice. I can't give advice. This is my own personal lived experience.
Lived experience.
Yeah. The auto injector for lebrikizumab is so painful. I've taken loads of auto injectors. I don't know what it is about it, but it's like being stabbed. It's horrendous. And so Donna very kindly did it in my arm rather than me doing it in my leg, which made a big difference, which is very kind of you. But yeah, thank you for everything you're doing. You've done for me. And let's have some dinner because I'm getting peckish.
Yeah, I'm really hungry. Are you cooking or am I?
I think I did yesterday. I think it's your day today. Woo! I got to pack down, so.
Well, I want to say that you're very, very brave. Genuinely, probably the bravest person that I have the blessing of knowing. The stuff that you have to contend with on a daily basis should not be underplayed, and I think you often laugh it off. But yeah, no one should have to have this card dealt to them. But you do very, very well.
So
I'm
just
very
one
proud
last
of you.
thing to wrap up. So I'm not just trying to get the last word in. Thank you for that. That was very kind of you. If you are a partner of someone and you are supporting someone, your job is hard. So like, be kind to yourself, be proud of yourself for the work you do, because it is so hard. It's mentally draining. It takes your time. It
Financially
takes you
draining.
financially draining. Yeah, every time we're into London, that's £100 on the train. You know, so what you're doing is very important. I'm sure you're very hugely appreciated. I know that for my tribe and my, my support network, I couldn't be more grateful. And so I hope you're looking after yourself too, like Donna said. All right, let's have some grub.
Kitty party over.